Well, 3 days ago, Drew DeVault, founder and CEO of SourceAt, published a blog post called "Please Stop Externalizing Your Costs Directly into My Face," where he complained that LLM companies were crawling data without respecting robots.txt and causing severe outages to SourceAt. I went, interesting, and then moved on. Then, yesterday morning, KDE GitLab infrastructure was overwhelmed by another AI crawler with IPs from Alibaba's range. This caused GitLab to be temporarily inaccessible to KDE developers. Then I discovered that 1 week ago an anime girl started appearing on the GNOME GitLab instance as the page was loaded. It turns out that it's the default loading page for Anubis, a proof-of-work challenger that blocks AI scrapers that are causing outages. By now, it should be pretty clear that this is no coincidence. AI scrapers are getting more and more aggressive, and since free and open source software relies on public collaboration, whereas private companies don't have that requirement, this is putting some extra burden on the open source communities. So let's try to get more details, going back to Drew's blog post. According to Drew, LLM crawlers don't respect robots.txt requirements and include expensive endpoints such as git blame, every page of every git log, and every commit in your repository. They do so using random user agents from tens of thousands of IP addresses, each one making no more than one HTTP request, trying to blend in with user traffic. Due to this, it's hard to come up with a good set of mitigations. Drew says that several high priority tasks have been delayed for weeks or months due to these interruptions, and users have been occasionally affected because it's hard to distinguish between these bots and actual humans. And of course, this causes occasional outages of SourceAt. Drew here does not distinguish between which AI companies are more or less respectful of robots.txt files or more accurate in their user agent reporting, but we'll be able to look more into it later. Finally, Drew points out that this is not some isolated issue. He says, all of my sysadmin friends are dealing with the same problems, and every time I sit down for beers or dinner to socialize with sysadmin friends, it's not long before we're complaining about the bots. The desperation in this conversation is palpable. Which brings me back to yesterday's KDE GitLab issues. According to Ben, part of the KDE sysadmin team, all of the IPs that were performing this DDoS were claiming to be Microsoft Edge, funnily enough, and were due to Chinese AI companies. He mentioned that Western LLM operators such as OpenAI and Anthropic were at least setting a proper user agent. Again, more on this later. The solution for now was to ban the version of Edge that the bots were claiming to be, though it's hard to believe that this will be a definitive solution. These bots do seem to keen on changing the user agents to try to blend in as much as possible. Indeed, GNOME has been experiencing issues since last November. As a temporary solution, they had to rate limit non-logged in users from seeing merge requests and commits, which obviously also caused issues with real human guests. The solution was eventually settled to switching to Anubis. This is a page that presents a challenge to the browser, which then has to spend some time doing some math and then presenting the solution back to the server. If it's right, then you get access to the website. According to the developer, this project is a bit of a nuclear response, but AI scrapers bot scraping so aggressively have forced my hand. I hate that I have to do this, but this is what we get for modern internet, because bots don't conform to standards like robots.txt, even when they claim they do. However, this is also causing user issues. When a lot of people open the link from the same place, it might happen that they get served some higher difficulty exercise that will take some time to complete. There's one user reporting a 1 minute delay to access the website, and another from his phone having to wait around 2 minutes. Why? Well, a GitLab link was pasted in a chat room. That's it. Similarly, the same happened when triple buffering GNOME merge request was posted to Hacker News and thus received a lot of attention over there. As the developer said, it's a nuclear option for crawler. How do you pronounce that? Crawlers? To crawl. I should have looked it up. I'm sorry. but it also has human consequences. Over Mastodon, one GNOME sysadmin, Bart Piotrowski, kindly shared some numbers to let people fully understand the scope of the problem. According to him, around 2 hours and a half, they received 81,000 total requests, and out of those, only 3% passed the Anubis proof of work, hinting that 97% of the traffic is bots, an insane number. That said, at least that worked. Other organizations are having a harder time dealing with these creepers. As an example, here's Jonathan Corbett, who runs the free and open source news source LWN, and he's warning users that the website might be occasionally sluggish due to DDoS from AI scraper bots. He claims that only a small fraction of the traffic is being served to actual human readers, and at some point the bots decided to hit us with hundreds of IP addresses at once. They don't identify themselves as bots, and robots.txt is the only thing that they don't read of the website. Many expressed solidarity, of course, including Kevin Fancy, sysadmin of the Fedora project. They have also been having issues with AI scrapers. Firstly, 1 month ago, they had to fight to get Pagure.io to stay alive, and things have gotten worse over time, so they had to block a bunch of subnets, which has also impacted many real users. Out of desperation, at one point, Kevin decided to ban the entire country of Brazil to get things to work again, and to my understanding, this ban is still in effect, and it's not so clear when a longer-term solution might be found. And as Neil Gompa points out, even this blocking an entire country only gets you so far apparently. The Fedora infrastructure has been regularly down for weeks because of AI scrapers. Another project that's been hit by this issue in the last weeks is Inkscape. According to Martin Howens, it's not the usual Chinese distributed denial of service attacks from last year, but a pile of companies that started ignoring our SpiderConf and started spoofing their browser info. I now have a prestigious block list. If you happen to work for a big company doing AI, you might not get our website anymore. And while Martin is not the only developer who has a prestigious block list, even Big Grizzly from Software was flooded by bad LLM crawlers, I just can't do it, and built a list of 460,000 IPs with spoofed user agents to ban. He's offering to share the list around. One more comprehensive attempt at this is the ai.robots.txt project, an open list of web crawlers associated with AI companies. They offer a robots.txt that implements the robot exclusion protocol and a .htaccess file that will return an error page when getting a request from any AI crawler in the list. We can get some more numbers about the scrapers if we go a few months back. Here's a post by Daniel Schubert about the Diaspora, an open source decentralized social network infrastructure, when he says that looking at the traffic logs made him impressively angry. In the blog post, he claims that 1/4 of his entire web traffic is due to bots with an OpenAI user agent, 15% is due to Amazon bots, 4.3% is due to Anthropic, and so on. Overall, we are talking about 70% of the entire request being from AI companies. According to him, they just don't crawl one page once and then move on. Oh no, they come back every 6 hours because lol, why not? They also don't give a single flying fuck about robots.txt because why should they? If you try to rate limit them, then they will just switch to another IP all the time. If you try to block them by user agent string, they'll just switch to a non-bot user agent string. No, really? This is literally a DDoS attack on the entire internet. A similar number is given by the Read the Docs project. In a blog post called AI Crawlers Need to Be More Respectful, they claim that blocking all AI scrapers immediately decreased the traffic by 75%, going from 800 gigabytes a day to just 200 gigabytes. This made the project save around $1,500 every month. The rest of the article is pretty impressive too. They're talking about crawlers downloading tens of terabytes of data within a few days or more, and it's hard to block them entirely since they use various different IPs. I do wonder how much of this scraping is for training data and how much instead is for the search functionality that most LLMs provide. Nonetheless, according to Schubert, normal crawlers such as Google's and Bing's only add up to a fraction of a single percentage point, which hints at the fact that other companies are indeed abusing their web powers. But it's not just scrapers, or I would have titled this video the AI scrapers, not AI companies. Another issue that open source communities have been fighting with is AI-generated bug reports, as an example. This was the first reported by Daniel Stenberg of the Core project in a blog post titled "The I in LLM stands for intelligence." Core offers a bug bounty for when you report a bug you get money, but lately they've noticed that many bug reports are generated by AI. These look credible and take a lot of developer time to check, but they also contain the typical hallucination that you would expect from AIs. It's pretty crazy that we have to go through your own code because a bug report confidently tells you that there's some critical security issue to fix, and then you don't find any issue because the whole issue was just AI hallucination. A similar issue was reported by Seth Larson, who's on the security report triage team for CPython, pip, urlib3, requests, and many other open source projects. He says, "Recently I've noticed an uptick in extremely low quality spammy and LLM hallucinated security reports to open source projects. The issue is in the age of LLMs, these reports appear at first glance to be potentially legitimate and thus require time to refute." This is a pretty big issue. As he points out, responding to security reports is expensive, and responding to invented but credible bug reports causes some significant additional burden on maintainers, which might drive them out of the open source world entirely. The article ends with a request. Please do not use AI or LLM systems for detecting vulnerabilities. He says these systems today cannot understand code. Finding security vulnerability requires understanding of code and understanding of human-level concepts such as intent, common usage, and context. Again, I want to point out that these issues impact disproportionately on the free and open source software world. Not only do open source projects often have less resources compared to commercial ones, but being community-driven projects, much more of their infrastructure is public and thus susceptible to both crawlers and AI-generated bug reports on issues. Crawlers. Is that right? It's gotta be right. I'm not recording this video again.